Hi, my name's Tom Goldwyn. Better ask me to say a few words about my experience of entering the LDEC competition, in which you submit an idea for a new game using the LDEC cards. I entered in 2018 and my game won, which was amazing. And since then I've also helped out with the future competitions, trying out entries and feeding back my thoughts to Bez. So I've seen the other side of the process as well, I guess. When I entered, I had already been trying my hand at game design for a few years. Generally Thinky, Eurogames, board, resource tokens, Tekka custom cards, etc. I also tried out a couple of monthly design contests on Board Game Geek. But this contest, where you're basically given ready-made specific components and you're trying to figure out a new way to play with them, I hadn't really tried before. Of course, the first discovery that you make when you try and do this is that even though you're now seemingly so much more limited because you can't have all the possibilities of boards and tokens and so on, in fact, when you look at the possibilities of a deck of cards, you realise there's just so much you can do with them. I suppose it's obvious when you think of all the different games that have been made with standard playing cards. But I hadn't really thought about it before. I mean, you have a deck of cards and there's lots of different ways you can use them. There can be hidden information in your hand, open information, it can be drawn randomly from a deck, laid out in lines, they can be put into a hierarchy, so like one player's card or a set of cards could beat another player's card. They can combine them together in various different ways, making set to put you in order. You can cover other cards, and with the LDEC cards as well, you've also got the letters on them, and that of course brings in all the different ways you can make word games. I mean, do you use letters to spell out words, put them in alphabetical order? Can you compete to make the longest or shortest words with a given set of letters in? Could it act as a constraint, so the words you need to continue a story or something have to start with or contain the letters on the card? So anyway, I tried out a couple of game ideas, and so the first one was a tough, thinky word game, which was kind of working okay. Another one was sort of a wizard duel game, where making words or sequences of border patterns, cast different kinds of spells, and that quickly ran into complications. Maybe I could get it to work, but it was some way away by the time the deadline came round. So the game I submitted turned out to be a much quicker and lighter game, which gets people in two teams and has them sort of shouting out. They're racing each other to shout out words in a specific category, starting with either letters on the card. So, really quick, fun party game. When Bez emailed me back with feedback to let me know it had won the contest, she said she'd, at that point, played it about 100 times with lots of different people and had done some development work on it. Now, Bez is, by this point, a pretty experienced playtester and developer. She is very good at what she does. So with all the changes she'd made a much better game than the one that I'd submitted, which I had only had a chance to playtest maybe like 4 or 5 times before I submitted it. And even so, with her being, expert and everything, she still, as she kept on developing it to get it to its final form, she was still very conscientious about running ideas past me and making sure I still had as much ownership of the design as I wanted, which was great. Beth is just all great all around, really. She's both creative and a source of creativity in others. She's big on respecting people. So yeah, the competition was one thing, and the feedback was great. But then the next thing was that Beth also said she wanted Categorical to be the next core game. So there's many LDEC games, but some of them are officially designated as core games. The ones that are certified as sort of curated collection of games to play. And this game, Categorical, well, it renamed Categorical sort of fit in with the naming convention of the LDEC. It was going down well with people, and Bez thought it was also different enough from other core games, so that she decided it was going to be the 8th core game. And she's since run a successful Kickstarter for a new pack of LDEC cards with new art, and specifically tailored for Categorical and with the Categorical rules in the box. And that's in the works now. It's great. I spent some time on her stand at UK Games Expo and at Aircon in Harrogate as well, and playing a game I designed with people and seeing them having a good time. Well, that was a new experience. That's really nice. And as I said, for the 2019 and 2020 competitions, Bez asked if I could play some of the submissions and give my thoughts on them. And so she had looked at all the games, all the games, played them through, given them a fair chance, and she whittled them down to a short list and sent those games to me to try out. And seeing all the different ways people approached the competition, all the different ideas they had, was pretty amazing. There's plenty of ideas that I'd never have thought of. I also know that there's at least one game that was submitted for the LDEC competition, and it was, it made a good game with those cards, but then the designer went on to develop it further with custom cards and publish it themselves, and that's Forks by Mark Bit. Nice game, check it out. So yeah, if you're at all interested in designing a game, I'd say just have a go at Bezilla's competition. It's a nice design challenge with a minimal barrier to entry. You don't have to make like a big prototype or anything. You don't have to have got your game to its absolute final form to submit it. Bez judges by what a game can be as well as what it is just now. And there's a lot more to explore in that design space, which we haven't seen yet. It's an interesting thing to try out, and getting feedback from Bez is a really valuable thing. Have a go.